What's up YouTube, TCG Radish here, back with another Mystic Stadium video. Today I've got a full set overview for the Shadow Kingdom, this being the second set of Mystic Stadium TCG. Enter the Stadium, aka the first set of this game, mostly contain generic cards that you could use in any deck. But for this set and every set going forward, there's going to be a certain theme to the set, where most of the cards in the set will have abilities that interact with each other in some way. And you can still use any cards you want in a deck, but the idea behind this and the goal is to make sort of soft archetypes of cards that work together to kind of create some deck diversity in the future. Because otherwise you would just take all the best cards and just cram them into a deck, which may happen anyway, but we'll see how that turns out. So the theme of this set is destroying monsters, usually your own monsters, and putting monsters into your discard zone. So we've got a lot of monsters that work well as fodder, monsters that have positive effects when they're destroyed or that want to be destroyed, and monsters and other cards that enable us to destroy our own monsters. So yeah, let's get right into it. So first off, first card in the set, we got Return Spirit. And it is a cost 1 monster with 2 power and 1 shield. And its ability is, when one of your cost 2 or greater monsters is destroyed and it isn't your main phase, you can play this card from your discard zone. So pretty understated for a cost 1, but it can create a lot of value if you're able to bring it back multiple times. And next up we've got Crystal Shade, which is a cost 2 monster with 5 power and 3 shield, and when it's destroyed, you get to charge 2, or put the top 2 cards of your deck into your energy zone. Third card, we've got Effigy Doll, which is a cost 1 monster, 0 power, 1 shield, and when it's destroyed, your opponent breaks 1 soul. And this is a card that you generally have to destroy yourself, because your opponent just won't attack it, because it really only has 1 shield and won't really prevent them from doing too much, for the most part. And next we've got Gobble Frog, cost 1, monster, 4 power and 6 shield, and when played, you choose one of your monsters and destroy it, then put the top card of your deck into your energy zone, aka charge 1. Next we've got 3 cards that are related to each other. First we've got Skeleton Armor Knight, which is a cost 2 monster, 5/5, and when it's destroyed, you search your deck for a monster named Armored Skeleton and play it. And Armored Skeleton is a 1 cost, 3/3, and when it's destroyed, you search your deck for a monster named Skeleton and play it. And here's Skeleton, which is just in a vacuum, a power creeped version of Sheep, because it's a 0 cost, 1/1, as opposed to 0/1. So yeah, starting to see the power creep in this game. Next up, we've got Mystic Shepherd. This is a cost 1 monster that's 2/2, and when it's played, you can search your deck for up to 3 copies of Sheep and play them. So when I was first playtesting this game, I got my brother to help playtest for me, and the moment he saw Sheep, he was utterly appalled at how awful of a card it was. So I've made it sort of a goal to make Sheep as playable of a card as possible in this game. So I'm looking in the future to print more support for Sheep and just kind of make it as good of a card as possible, because in a vacuum it's probably the worst card in the game. But anyway, this card is great. Just playing it, you can get up to 3 Sheep right from your deck into the stadium, and that's the most monsters you can get onto the board for the least amount of energy possible, being 1 energy. So with 2 cards, being 1 energy and the Shepherd, you can get 4 monsters into play, which is a lot. And it's got 5 total shield, which isn't too bad either. So yeah, if you want to use this ability for its full potential, you can only use it once, because once you pull the Sheep out of your deck, you can't really get any more Sheep. So it could be an issue there, but we'll see how good this card is. I'll definitely be including it in a lot of my decks. Next up, we've got Grave Eater, and that is a cost 2, 1/1, but it gets +1 power and +1 shield for each monster card in either player's discard zone. So filling up your discard zone with monsters will buff it up, but destroying your opponent's monsters will also help you buff it up. So this monster can be pretty fat in the late game. We've got Insidious Spinner next. It's a cost 2 monster, 5/5, and if 2 or more monsters were destroyed during this turn, the monster is an 8/8 instead. Yeah. Next we've got a cost 1 4/2 monster, being Spiketail Bat, and this monster's ability is whenever an opponent's monster attacks you, your opponent breaks 1 soul. And that means attacking you means attacking you directly. So attacking a monster, they don't break 1 soul. Next up, we've got Apparition Mirror, a cost 1 monster, 0/1, but while your opponent has at least 1 monster, Apparition Mirror's power value is equal to the greatest power value among your opponent's monsters. So this card can be pretty good removal because a lot of decks, their most powerful monster has at least as much attack as it has shield. So you can literally just play this card and attack that biggest monster and get rid of it. Next we've got a cost 3 monster, Ravenous Devour Worm, 9 power and 9 shield, and at the start of your turn you have to choose one of your monsters and destroy it. Depending on your deck, this might not be that awful of an effect, and it is slightly overstated for a 3-cost monster. Then we've got Cryptic Casket, which is kind of an interesting monster. Cost 2, 0/6. When you play it, you can discard a monster card that's cost 2 or less from your hand, and if you do, this monster gets +4 power. And it gets that power until it leaves the stadium, so it's basically permanent 4 power, as long as you discard that card. And then when it's destroyed, you can play that monster card that you discarded with its first effect. So yeah, you could create a lot of value with this card. On to the spells. First off, we've got Requested Knowledge. It's a cost 0 spell, and what it does is you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, your opponent chooses one, you put the chosen card into your hand or your energy zone, so you get to pick either of those, and the other 2 cards go to the bottom of your deck. Next up, we've got Formation Shift, and it is a cost 1 spell, and what you do is you choose 2 of your opponent's monsters or 2 of your monsters, and you swap their power and shield values until the turn ends. So what this card can do is you can get your most powerful stat line monster twice. If you attack with it first, swap it with a weaker monster, and then attack with that weaker monster, which is now a more powerful monster. Or you can use it to give your opponent's monsters lowest shield value twice, although generally you'd have to have a stun card or something else in order to utilize that to its full potential. Next up, we got Return Seal, pretty simple card, costs 2 spell, and you just return a monster of your choice to hand, and it can be your monster or your opponent's. Next up, we've got Double Edge, costs 2 spell, and what it does is you choose one of your monsters and destroy it, then you choose one of your opponent's monsters and destroy it. And if you don't destroy one of your monsters, then you don't get the rest of the effect. Next up, we've got Deck Shovel, pretty simple. Cost 1 spell, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards from your hand. This card can help you get monster cards into your discard zone, or it can help you dig deeper into your deck and find the cards that you need. Next, cost 2 spell, Grave Return. Choose a monster in your discard zone and play it stunned. So you don't get to attack with it the turn you play this card, but you can get as powerful of a monster as you want as long as you can play it and it's in your discard zone. On to the flashcards. First, we've got Spell Shatter. And what that does is when it resolves, you pay X energy, then you choose a spell card with cost X being played and nullify its effects. So you can pay 0 energy and nullify a lot of 0 cost spells, and notably Quick Energy, but there are some other ones that might be problematic, and it's got some more versatility than that. Stopping Quick Energy is a big one, but this can give you a lot of options into the late game, especially if your opponent has some pretty good spells that can really disrupt what you're doing. Next up, we've got Summon Scroll. It's a flash card where you pay X energy, then search your deck for a monster card with cost X -1 and play it. So whatever monster card you're getting, you do have to essentially pay an additional energy, but you do get to search for any monster card you want in your entire deck. And since this is a flash card, there's a potential where you can play a monster card on your opponent's turn, which can be relevant. Next up, we got Soul Crush, flash card where your opponent breaks 1 soul, but you can't play this card during your opponent's turn. So you're probably not going to be using this card to respond to their spell cards or their monster card plays. But if they play a flash card during your turn, you can respond with this card and make them break 1 soul. Next, we've got Energy Burst. Flash card, choose up to 3 cards from your hand and put them into your energy zone. Pretty simple. And yeah, that's it for commons. Let's go to the silver rares. First silver rare we've got is Shadow Vortex. This is a cost 3 spell, and what it does is it destroys all monsters. Then you have to break 1 soul if 5 or more monsters were destroyed by this effect. This actually sometimes is a good effect because breaking souls isn't too bad as long as it's not your last soul, generally because it does give you more energy to play things. Next up, we've got Gambit. It is a flash card. And what you do is you choose one of your monsters, its shield becomes 1 until the turn ends, and then if it's destroyed this turn, you get to draw 3 cards when it's destroyed. And I believe this is currently the only card in the game that can allow you to draw up to more than 5 cards in your hand. Next up, we've got Scythe the Punisher. This is a cost 2 monster, 9 power and 3 shield, with flash shield. Now that's the first time seeing this effect, I believe. What that is essentially means that this monster, when it's a monster, it can't be chosen by flash cards as an effect, and it can also not be affected by them. And what that means is its stats cannot change by the effect of a flash card. It can't be moved from the stadium to any other zone, so you can't return it to hand, you can't put it in the deck, it can't be destroyed, it can't be stunned, or anything like that. So it's pretty much immune to flash cards entirely. And then when the turn ends, you do have to destroy this monster. So you're never really going to have it on your opponent's turn unless you summon scroll it for whatever reason. And during your main phase, you can play it from your discard zone by destroying 2 of your monsters. So yeah. And finally, onto our gold rare for the set, we have Shadow Core Dragon. Cost 3, 12 power and 12 shield. It's got flash shield, which I just explained. It's also got spell shield too. And what that means is essentially what I explained with flash shield, except for spells with cost 2 or less. So can't be chosen by the effect, can't be affected in any way by a spell card. So no destroying, no stunning, no changing stats, none of that. There is a catch though. 12/12 is pretty overstated for cost 3, but you can't play this card unless your discard zone has 7 or more monster cards in it. And it's play, not summon, so you can't even use Grave Return on it unless there are 7 or more monster cards in your discard zone. So this is a payoff from you filling up your discard zone with a lot of monsters. And its last effect is when its attack hits your opponent, destroy all of their monsters. So there you have it. Those are all 28 cards from the Shadow Kingdom. Thanks for watching. Big thanks to everyone subscribed to this channel, and I'll see you next time.